over to Joshua. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Caroline. Can everyone see my screen?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Caroline, for the opportunity. I want to say thank you to the SLBI for giving me this platform to speak to amazing people. And I want to appreciate everyone for making it to this talk. I'm really excited, and I'm also glad that you could all make it. Well, also I'll hopefully that after this talk, you will have had a lovely evening, and you'll have spent this evening well. I hope that will be the case at the end of this talk. So yeah. Oh, so before I move on, so I'll be talking about the uses of plant beyond the obvious, but I'll be going into like the climate, food, and health, among other things. Just generally my experiences with plant uses, and also in the context of Nigeria as well. So yeah, so I'll be doing that today. And just if you have feedback, I will also appreciate in terms of any part of this presentation. If you have any feedback for me, you could just tweet at me. It will be lovely to have your feedback. Probably ways in which you think it could have been improved. It would be lovely to have your feedback. So thank you very much, and I hope you have a good evening.
Joshua,
yeah,
just before you carry on, I think we're seeing your screen in the format of like the next slide. Do you want to show it so that we can just see this, the one big slide, if you see what I mean?
okay.
That's looking better. If you, that's better. Thank you.
Is it still all right, or is it still the same?
That's fine. Yeah, thanks.
Oh, it's fine now. All right. Thank you very much for pointing that out. All right. So yeah. So context, I'll be talking just a brief introduction about myself, a bit about climate change, about mitigation and adaptation. I'm talking about food, health, and then lastly, this one is just like a special way we have like use a plant. So yeah, it's just about like plants, and also giving directions. And so yeah, all these we'll be looking at the roles, like the importance of plants in helping us address some of these issues and challenges. So yeah, this photo was taken in 2016. This was like on a field trip to the Gashaka Gumti National Park, which is like the largest national park in Nigeria, about 6,000 kilometers, square kilometers. And well, this the person beside me is my bike. At that time, we had to hire a bike because, well, the terrain was uneven. I mean, there was quite a number of transportation means of transportation that we had to go through along the journey. But going back to my earlier years, my mom was a great influence in terms of my love for botany, because she had a farm, and then we also help out in the farm where we I was taught how to break seed dormancy in Cocorus olitorius, which is like a common vegetable in Nigeria. And here also we have Celosia argentea. It's also like a vegetable in which is commonly consumed. And I was excited one afternoon to actually go into the farm, and I saw like insects all over the plant. And this was a picture, the picture of the picture of this of the plant of the celosia. I took this in my mother's farm, and I was so glad to have seen like insects all over them. I was really surprised, and you know, those sort of interest is sort of interesting for me as well at the time. And so she's a very big influence in terms of how I've come to like love botany. Then I went on to study plant science at Olabisi Onabanjo University, which was my undergraduate university. And that was where I met Professor Oyeshiku. Professor Oyeshiku is a bryophyte ecologist in Nigeria. And yeah, so in one of the modules where we had like cryptogamic biology, it's sort of like this interest and this my interest in this field work in botany sort of aligned us, and then I started going on field trips with him, and that was one of the reasons I was able to go to the Gashika-Gunti National Park in Nigeria, which, well, from Ogun State to Taraba State was about 869 kilometers to the place. And so this is just a map showing where Nigeria is in Africa, and also where we moved from Ogun State to Taraba State to the national park along the journey. And this is like, I mean, I know botanists will be able to relate with this, where you go to a particular location, maybe for field trips, and eventually you have to pass through diverse means of transportation just to get to the location you're going to. And yeah, so one of those experiences is displayed in this photograph. Well, all smiles, but that was a really exciting one. I mean, well, though I couldn't swim, I can't swim, but I had to go through it. But yeah, it was fun and it was really exciting. At one point, I mean, because of the rugged terrain, we had to like be on like the back of the tractor, you know, taking us through the place. And at one point also, I had to like walk for 8 hours, climbing, going up to the peak of the mountain because it's quite a mountainous area. But then, I mean, the trip was rewarded because that was the first time I was going to see this Passeros carolinianus. That's an onward in Nigeria. And also, yeah, it's really restricted to the mountainous areas in Nigeria, high elevations, and so it's I've never seen it before. And so going on that trip, I was able to like see it, and so it was quite interesting and also exciting. Yeah, all the whole walking and was finally paid off, and yeah, so that was really exciting for me to have seen this, because I've only just read in books and in classes and all that, but then to really have that personal experience of actually seeing the plant was something quite interesting and exciting. So yeah, climate change. So there has been like the warming of the Earth's atmosphere, and a lot of this is due to the greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide, methane, and of course, as we have radiation from the sun, and this is reflected by like also the Earth's surfaces, the oceans. But then gases like carbon dioxide are able to like trap this infrared radiation from the Earth's surfaces, and they could absorb this radiation, and this leads to the warming of the Earth's atmosphere. And so yeah, and so not just about climate, not just the fact that the Earth's atmosphere gets warmed, is also the fact that there are also associated effects that is caused, just like flooding, drought, and all other such effects. And so it's important that in tackling issues like climate change, there are like two approaches which involves mitigation, trying to reduce these greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, as well as adapting, which is quite important, as well as adapting to the current changes and to the effects of this climate change. Because if we are just looking at just the mitigation and not considering adaptation, there are changes being occurring currently, and we need to be able to live in such a way that considering such changes, it wouldn't impede people's ability to survive and live in their environment or in the community. And so it's quite important to consider both mitigation and adaptation as strategies to deal with climate change. And so, yeah, as I was saying earlier, mitigation, just like we reduce the sources of these gases, prevent degradation of natural sink, just like we have the ocean, the forest, and what have you, and also like restoring the degraded sink. But also in the restoration, it's important to not just, it's not just one size fits all. It's important to know what to do at a particular location and what will be the appropriate thing to do, or what would be the appropriate habitat to restore. So yeah, we have the first picture here is showing like Kola gigantea in the forest in Nigeria. And just looking at how that forest is, they are actually one of the ways in which climate change, the carbon dioxide majorly in the atmosphere is removed in some way because of just due to photosynthesis. And also we have things like the peatland helping us remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. And so we have like, so when it comes to like photosynthesis, the process by which plant produces food, the process is more complex than is showed in the slide, but majorly you have just like the two phases, the light and the dark phases. And in the light phases where you have like the photolysis of water, in which sunlight breaks down water molecules. And then this also goes into the dark phase where carbon dioxide now is absorbed from the atmosphere through the stomata of the plant, and this is now produces food, and yeah, and so it produces carbon dioxide, carbohydrates and water vapor, and so this carbohydrate is sort of like stored in the plant and the biomass of the plant. And so one of the ways in which this happened, like majorly in photosynthetic plants, and one of the ways in which, like we talk about how the forest is able to help remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, is about storing this carbon dioxide in the form of carbohydrates in their biomass, and also the longevity of the forest. I mean, trees, they will be there for a long time. And so they are keeping this carbon dioxide in their plants, in their biomass. And so not allowing this to escape and go back into the atmosphere. And so this is one of the ways in which forest is able to help us mitigate, and also about like store carbon dioxide in the form of carbohydrates, carbon really. And so removing them from the atmosphere, which is quite like important when we are looking at our fight against climate change. Although there have been a lot of, talks and studies about, because of obviously plants also respire, and so they also release carbon dioxide as well. So we'll be looking at, that's why it's important to also keep the forest in good condition, just a way that the effect, the release of carbon dioxide is not more than what is being taken out of the atmosphere. So it's quite important to know that. And so I think there was a beautiful post by Leif on like the importance of bogs. So generally peatlands are also a good way in which carbon dioxide can be stored. They sort of, because of the lack of oxygen, due to the waterlog, and so they quite there's delay in the decay of plant matter, and so a lot of this remains intact, and so due to the accumulation of peat. And so, for example, where we have bogs in the context of the UK, the carbon dioxide is locked up in the plant because there is partial decay of of plant material, and so this still remains in the plant. And also the fact that also other places, for example, maybe in Nigeria, where you have the mangrove forest, also like a waterlogged area where plants needed to breed with nematophores, and so there's this storage of plant matter, so sort of like accumulating the carbon dioxide rather than releasing it into the atmosphere. And so this is quite important. And so in Nigeria, there are majorly like these ecological zones where we have we have like the mangrove and coastal vegetations in these areas, mangrove and coastal vegetation, where you have plants like Nympha fruticans or the Nipa palms. And these are quite good to also help in terms of like flooding and quite good habitat also in the fight against climate change. And so, yeah, so basically these are quite important. So we're now looking at the roles of plants in helping us deal with climate change. And we also look at adaptation as well. How are plants helping us to adapt to the effect of climate change? And one of such ways is this plant here, it was Musanga sacropoides, which is also called the African Cockwood tree or the umbrella tree. Now, the way this plant in Nigeria is sort of a regrowth plant found in, also like a pioneer tree, sort of like in secondary forest, and can actually reach quite a height of like 100 feet. And so this plant is useful in helping local communities adapt to the effect of climate change, especially in the area of drought, when it comes to drought or dry seasons, because the silt root, this silt root actually we derive like water from them, and so serve as a good source of drinking water. But for me, I've actually also drank the water, and it's the water has, local communities actually depend on this tree as well in dry seasons and in a time of drought. And so this is one of the ways in which this plant could potentially be used as a sort of means to adapt to the effect of climate change in terms of when you have drought or during dry seasons, maybe a prolonged dry season, and then you could there is inability to access clean and safe drinking water. And so this plant will provide sort of an opportunity for the community to really depend on plants for safe drinking water. And my mentor was kind enough to probably do a bit of video on, I'll try to get the sound off. Just tapping the water from the silt root. So this is one of the roots, the silt roots. So we just make a cut, and then just collect the water from there. And usually it's done like 6 p.m. in the evening. And then by the next morning, you usually have a full keg. But in this case, it's usually will have a full keg, but there was some leak, and so yeah, we couldn't get like the full keg. So this just highlights the importance of plants, even in our fight against climate change. And so it's important that we consider the roles of plants, not just in mitigating, but also in terms of adapting to the effects of climate change. And also highlights the importance of local knowledge, in terms of local knowledge in the uses of plants, and also in dealing with issues in our environment. So I move on now to like food, how like we have also used plants as sources of food. And one of them is this plant again, the Celosia argentea. Now in the previous post, there is this name that is called locally in Yoruba, which is Shoko Yokoto. It literally translates, meaning makes husband fat and happy. So it makes husband fat and happy. It's because I mean it's kind of a plan where you, after cooking such a meal, it's usually cooked with other ingredients, but it's usually made as a soup. And you know, when you, it's kind of like cultural where you, after such a meal, you could like ask anything and you could like get anything from people just after you presented such meal. And so that was, I think, one of the reasons it's called makes husband fat and happy. At that point in time, wives could um, ask anything from their husband and would likely get it. So it's quite an interesting one. So yeah, that's a Celosia. And then of course we have the Arachis hypogaea as well, the groundnut or the peanut, well, which is usually this the the nuts could be roasted together with plantain. So we have like, we roast the nut and the plantain, and it's a very delicious and common snack also in Nigeria. It can be eaten together, or it could be just boiled and eaten raw. So yeah, then you also have okra, Ebemuscus esculentus, which is the Malvaceae. Well, this is also used to make soup as well. It's a common vegetable in Nigeria as well. And yeah, and this is Teferia occidentalis. Usually it's called the fluted pumpkin. You're also in the family of the pumpkin that I think most of us will be familiar with. The pumpkin is also in the family Cucurbitaceae. But yeah, this is the fluted pumpkin. This is planted. This is common also in Nigeria as a vegetable. The leaves are consumed as well as the seeds. The seed can be roasted, boiled, while the leaves are usually eaten, cooked, and used to make soup, a common delicacy. Yeah, and that's quite interesting to see how the variety of uses as well. So I'm going to integrate this as well into talking about like health as well, because many of these plants also have important like health uses as well. So yeah, I'm looking at health. For example, this Teferia occidentalis. Let me just bring a lighter to point here. Um, I remember growing up, my mom will usually squeeze the juice out of this out of the leaf, and I mean sometimes add milk, and we drink it as like blood tonic, because it has also been like said to help fight against anemia. So it's actually been used as blood tonic. And so I remember consuming this while growing up. I mean, I've never had any issue with anemia, but then, I mean, this is one of the uses, I mean, in terms of, as regards health uses. And also, this generally, these plants are actually quite affordable, and they are quite good, especially in terms of battling issue of malnourishment, because they are common and could be purchased locally and readily available. They are good uh, source of food, and also quite a good health uses. And of course, this fluted pumpkin as well could also be used, could planted together with in a maize field to help suppress weeds. So also because of its trailing nature, usually it will be there will be a stake placed, and then it just moves around the stakes and grows in there, and so it all could be left to just trail on the floor, especially when it's being used to suppress weeds. Then again, we come back to this the African Cockwood tree. This stiples actually is a stipule, connate stipules. They are joint stipules that covers the leaf buds. They have been shown to, if boiled, the water has been shown to serve like as an immunagogue, to sort of allow menstrual flow in women, and also it also has like oxytocic properties where it induces, it sort of relieves childbirth, also eases childbirth, and so has quite important uses. I mean, there are a plethora of uses when it comes to actually this plant. There are a lot of plethora of uses, and some have claimed to for it to be good for rheumatism. Though I think I can't really remember vividly, but I think there was a time we did maybe a chemical analysis of it, the water from the silt roots, and it actually contained a high amount of calcium, and which, well, could explain probably why it'd be good for rheumatism or for bone, to strengthen the bones as well. Then we have Syncypalum dosificum, called miracle fruit. Now this shrub actually is amazing, because the first time I heard the fruit, it was also my mentor introduced the fruit to me, and also he told me, he said, "Oh, I should taste the fruit." I tasted it, and then he gave me there's this common snacks we have, like the cassava flakes, and I drank that, and it was so sweet. The fruit itself is not if you this berry itself is not when you eat it, when you take the fruit, ordinarily it's not sweet, it's just there, it's not sweet. But when you combine it with, for example, lime, it could make lime soup become sweet orange, or if you even take it with sweet orange, it becomes very, very sweet. And so this is also quite good in terms of use of plant, even in food and as an additive. Sort of like you don't need to depend on like sugar. And so yeah, it's quite remarkable. That's why I think it's called a miracle fruit. And so we could flavor food, turn sour fruit food into like very sweet food. And the way it reacts, it has a miraculin, which actually activates like the taste bud, makes it very sensitive to like sweets, sort of activate that sweetness in the taste bud, and so you have a perception of sweetness when you take food that are so acidic. And so yeah, that's one of ways in which, and this is also this plant is also been in Nigeria, is indigenous, is local, and so it's why an interesting one when it comes to like the uses of plant in terms of food. Then also another like it is this Thermatococcus danielii, which also like produces the same effect. And crystals from these plants have been shown to be like 2,000 or about 3,000 times sweeter than sucrose. And so it's also used to flavor and to as a sweetener as well. Also used as a sweetener in plant. So the flower grows really low to the ground surface, such that it could become covered, the fruit itself become covered by debris, and it sort of have a subterranean feel. So you don't really see the fruit up there. You just see it like maybe buried a bit under the ground. It's sort of like subterranean. And so, yeah, this one of has that sort of uses as well to flavor drinks, flavor food, as act as a sweetener as well. They are especially it's actually the area of the plant of the fruits, and so it's and also the jelly from the fruit also has also been shown to could be used as a replacement for like agar because of the swelling. They're able to swell, and so it's quite a good one as well. Then one of the I think one of the uses I grew up to know about, like which is a common place I think in Nigeria and also in my home, was the leaf. Actually is usually used to wrap food, just like beans pudding. We usually use it to wrap such food, and it gives it a kind of flavor. It flavors the food, and so we've been using while in many homes it's common to use the leaf of this plant to wrap food, and then it's boiled together with the food and sort of leaves the food with some sort of flavor. Then finally, I was looking at this then part of in which plants help us in terms of direction, giving us direction and helping us just find our bearing, especially when it comes to the context of being in the rainforest and then locating things. Actually, the coconut tree. Now, from where you are in the forest, you could look up, and if you're able to look at the coconut tree, if you're able to like find a coconut tree, usually we are able to determine that there could be a village close by. There could be a village close by, especially when there are clusters of coconut trees, and we look up, so we're able to eventually when you go closer, you find that there's a village there, because usually the coconut trees are planted in those villages, also serving as a sort of uh, also, I mean, aside it also used like as food and also other materials that are used for building as well. But then for us, it just help us to locate villages, even where you don't have them on the map or you don't have a map. And so going in the rainforest, it could be quite helpful, especially if you have been there in there for a long time. And also, I mean, well, there was a time also like we had to do like a field trip around villages in a particular place in Nigeria, Agowele. Locating, there were some villages that were extinct. People were no longer living in them. The buildings were collapsed, and yeah, for us to locate such places was very difficult. And one of the things that helped in locating, or even some villages we were not aware of, we're able to locate those villages just by sighting a coconut tree from afar, especially when they have clusters of coconut trees, and we're able to look and see that, oh yes, there are coconut trees over there, and then we sort of move closer and we discover relics of buildings and clay pots, and this kind of help us to, you know, locate and give us a sense of direction in terms of even locating extant villages. And this could be quite useful in terms of archaeological studies, where you are looking at villages that existed before in such areas. And so this use is actually quite important, especially looking at the fact that there are trees. You begin to see a lot of trees all over the place, and because the coconut trees grow really tall, so one could really see them in the rainforest from afar, and then moving towards them, we usually find that they're actually a village in that particular location. And so, yeah, I would like to really acknowledge my mentor, Professor Yeshiku, and also Ruben Obasi, they provided some of the photographs, and also showing the demonstration of collecting the water from the tree. And thank you all for listening.
Thank you, Joshua. That was great. What's that picture on the end there?
Carolyn, I think you're muted.
I'm not. Can you not hear me though?
Oh, sorry.
I can hear you, Caroline.
Can you? Thanks, Sarah.
Mhm.
Can you hear me now, Joshua?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Okay, lovely. I just asked what that picture was that you're showing at the moment, the pink one.
Oh, yeah, that's just the Mayflower from the Musanga. That's
Okay.
a plant.
Lovely. Thank you. That was really interesting. Yeah, got some amazing plants in Nigeria. There was one question. I'm just going to stop recording actually before we do the question.